Hey everybody, and Tony here with a review of the 2007 audio transmission of Gaetano Donizetti's Anna Bolena live from the Großen Wiener Konzerthaussaal, which I saw on YouTube thanks to my awesome friend Dylan Haynes, aka Colorature Fan, aka Logan D. The conductor was Bertrand de Billy, and the chorus master was Heinz. Now, a little bit of an English history refresher, as the main heroine of this opera is Anna Bolena, known in English as Anne Boleyn. Henry VIII was one of the most infamous figures of all history, and not just English history in general. He was very well known for constantly having battles with the church and of the state, and his insatiable appetite, and for also marrying 6 times. For those of you who don't know the mnemonic going, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, this is basically the pattern of how Henry VIII's marriages function. He first had his divorce with Catherine of Aragon, and then he decided to execute Anne Boleyn, as in behead her, because of high treason and various other crimes. Because once upon a time, before Anne Boleyn was King Henry's wife, or one of his wives, she used to be married to a nobleman by the name of Henry Percy. However, the cardinal basically annulled this marriage, and she was then given to Henry VIII to be his second wife after his divorce with Catherine of Aragon. Unfortunately, because she was accused of high treason, infidelity, and many other felonies, she was then beheaded, which then led Henry VIII to marry her lady-in-waiting, Jane Seymour, who unfortunately died during childbirth as she gave birth to Edward VI. We then lead to Henry's marriage to Anne of Cleves, who unfortunately divorced him. Then we lead to his marriage with Catherine Howard, who was then beheaded, and then to Catherine Parr, who fortunately survived and ended up living the rest of her years as a widow. Basically, he married so many times as he wanted an heir to the throne. However, that heir, who was Jane Seymour's son, passed away during his teens. With that said, let's get on to the opera's history. 1830 was a very huge year for Gaetano Donizetti because of this opera. This was the very opera which made him famous as a composer. Yes, there were other previous works like Il Castello di Kenilworth, which also had the Elizabeth figure on this very opera, but Anna Bolena was the one opera which skyrocketed Gaetano Donizetti's fame as a composer. Now, whenever you think of Donizetti, you would usually think of his most famous operas, including Lucia di Lammermoor, L'Elisir d'Amore, Don Pasquale, Linda di Chamonix, Maria Stuarda, Roberto de Vere, La Fidula Gimont, Polluto, and even Caterina Cornaro, and of course, Anna Bolena. Rarely would you ever think of this opera being one of the most performed, as it was revived in the form of Sara Scuderi, who sang the title role alongside Giulietta Simeonato as the Giovanna and Cesare Siepi as the Enrico in 1947. Then we had Maria Callas embodying this character in 1957 at La Scala alongside Simeonato, Rossi Lemeni, Gianni Raimondi, Gabriella Carturan, Plinio Clavassi, and many others, which also led to a huge slew of sopranos, not only Callas, but also Leila Gencer, Beverly Sills, Joan Sutherland, Luciana Serra, Edita Krubarova, Mariella Devia, Katia Ricciarelli, June Anderson, Marta Schux, Elena Mosuc, and nowadays what we have with Anna Netrebko, just to name a few sopranos who have done Anna Bolena. This has become very coveted to a prima donna assoluta. Any soprano who can be able to sing not only the low notes, but loads of high notes as well. Hence roles like Norma, and of course Anna Bolena, Maria Stuarda, and the Roberto de Elisabetta were very well known for being assoluta roles really calling a huge amount of versatility on the soprano's part. So it may not have garnered the huge fame of Lucia della Marmor, L'Elisir d'Amore, Don Pasquale, and La Fille de Regiment, but Anna Bolena is still performed even to this very day, mostly in a lot of the European opera houses. It also had its debut at the Metropolitan Opera in 2011 when Anna Netrebko embodied this character alongside Ildar Abdrazakov, Stephen Costello, Tamara Mumford, and Ekaterina Gubanova. With that said, let's get on to what I thought about the singers, starting off with my absolutely favorite singer of all time / vocal idol, Elena Mosuc as Anna Bolena. Anna Bolena has to be one of the most coveted roles for any dramatic coloratura soprano. It's as coveted as Norma, the Puritani Elvira, Beatrice di Tenda, Aleide from La Straniera, Maria Stuarda, Elisabetta from Roberto de Wörle, Lucia Ashton from Lucia della Marmor, Lucrezia Borgia, Semiramide, Matilde from Guillaume Tell, Violetta from La Traviata, Amalia from Masnadieri, Lucrezia from I Due Foscari, Elena from I Vespri Siciliani, Elvira from Hernani, and even to some extent Aitra from Ägyptische Helena and Richard Strauss's Daphne. In fact, the very first soprano who created Anna Bolena was Giuditta Pasta, who was very well known for her extensive range and for even being the first Norma and for being a huge icon during the bel canto period. She was quite as huge as her other rivals, being Isabella Colbran and Maria Malibran. There has been no shortage of sopranos who have embodied Anna Bolena. My personal favorites, aside from Mosuc, definitely have to be Joan Sutherland, Maria Luisa Cionni, Maria Callas, Beverly Sills, Leila Gencer, Françoise Garnier, Vaso Papantonio, Luciana Serra, Edita Gruberova, Mariela Devia, June Anderson, Marta Schux, Marilyn Mims, Joanna Vosch, Darina Takova, and even to some extent Dimitra Teodosiu and Sandra Radvanovsky. With Elena Mosuc, what more can I say about this really, really wonderfully electrifying singer? She truly was electrifying in this role, really singing this role with abandon. Oh sure, some of her detractors may accuse her of over-embellishing and over-saturating her lines with excessive coloratura and excessive fioriture and all of those arpeggios going up and down, but I really felt that she sang her heart out in this role. She gave it her all. She really, really gave everything. Her heart, her soul, her musicianship, everything to really make this character come alive. I really love those high notes in which she was able to blast with such abandon. Whether it's the high E flat after Non Vas Guardo, or the high D during Giudici ad Anna, or even the high E flat in Coppia Iniqua. She did very fabulously. In fact, these were the very numbers of this opera that I also look forward to the most, aside from Giovanna Seymour's Ella di me sollecita, Per questa fiamma indonita, and of course her cabaletta A pensate che rivolti, Riccardo Persi's Vivi tu, and his cabaletta Nel vedere la tua costanza, and of course Smeton's arias, and even the scenes with Enrico. And I especially love Giudici ad Anna, the final sextet of the first act before Anna, Percy, Rochefort, and Smeton are led away by the guards. It is absolutely a blast. And she really embodied this role with abandon, with beauty, with strength, with confidence. She was really confident when really singing this role. She sang her guts out. She sang everything wonderfully with such precision and such clear attacks on all the notes. And I know I have been gushing and gushing about this wonderful singer, but I really have to give my hat off to Madame Mosuc for continuing to amaze me as a huge fan of hers. Then we go to her rival / lady-in-waiting, Giovanna Seymour, Jane Seymour, sung by yet another wonderful Romanian singer in the form of the lyric mezzo Ruxandra Donose, who I also saw 2 years ago singing the role of the composer from Richard Strauss's Ariadne auf Naxos. Fun fact, the first singer of Giovanna Seymour was a young soprano by the name of Elisa Orlandi, who had a very exciting but very, very short career. In fact, she was only in her 20s when she sang this role. Reason why she had a short career was because she passed away in her late 20s / early 30s. But yeah, she was very young when she sang Giovanna Seymour. There may have been no shortage of mezzos who have specialized as Giovanna Seymour, but there has been also some fair share of sopranos who sang this role, including Callan Asperian and Sofia Solivi, and of course, Carrie Alkema. Heck, even Zoe South, who is a very wonderful dramatic soprano, started out with roles like Giovanna Seymour before heading to some of the bigger Wagnerian soprano roles. I would definitely label Giovanna Seymour as a Falcon soprano role. For those of you who don't know, and for those of you who haven't been tuning into a lot of my other videos in knowing what a Falcon soprano is, it's basically a voice type which is basically between a dramatic soprano and dramatic mezzo. And there has been no shortage of roles which definitely call for a Falcon soprano. Aside from Giovanna Seymour, other well-known exponents include Carmen, Cassandra, Didon, Judith from Bluebeard's Castle, Rachel from La Juive, Valentine from Les Huguenots, Sieglinde from Die Walküre, Brangena and Isolde from Tristan und Isolde, Venus from Tannhäuser, Ortrud from Lohengrin, Kundry from Parsifal, and Santuzza from Cavalleria Rusticana, and to some extent Fedora from Umberto Giordano's Fedora. My personal favorite Giovanna Seymours have to be the likes of Shirley Verrett, Elena Obrazova, Stefania Toshiska, Giulietta Simeonato, Fiorenza Cosotto, Daniela Barcellona, Sonia Ganassi, and of course Ruxandra Donose, and even Marion Cornetti. Heck, there were even some mezzos who sang Giovanna Seymour who also had successes as sopranos, like Shirley Verrett and Giuseppina Piunti, just to name a few. And I thought that with Ruxandra Donose, she was an absolute pro as Giovanna Seymour. She has a lovely, rich, and creamy tone, which is very versatile and very agile throughout all the registers. And she just sang the heck out of this role with such finesse and agility that I was totally amazed. And I loved her duet with Elena Mosuc's Anna Bolena, Sul suo capo gravio un Dio, which has the both of them sing a high C at the end of their duet. I always look forward to this duet in this opera, and these two ladies sang their duet with such finesse and aplomb that I really have to give them the hugest kudos for really making their roles come alive. She was able to give a lot of dignity and finesse to a role as wonderful and just as difficult as Giovanna Seymour. So without further ado, Ruxandra Donose really gave such a wonderful vocal portrayal of the seconda donna role to Elena Mosuc's Anna Bolena. She had a voice that was agile and one that really showed just how versatile she was as a singer. Then we go to Smetan, the page boy / court musician, sung by the very fabulous dramatic mezzo Nadia Krasteva, who is also very well known for her interpretations of Carmen, Amneris, and Dalila, and basically a lot of these seductive female mezzo roles. Smetan calls for either a lyric mezzo or a high contralto who can be able to act really wonderfully in this role and can convince the audience that he is a youthful and very noble young man. This role has also been coveted by a lot of lyric mezzos who specialize in roles like the Dryad from Ariadne auf Naxos, Dorabella from Così fan tutte, Cherubino from The Marriage of Figaro, Floshilde from Das Rheingold and Götterdämmerung, and a lot of these wonderful lyric mezzo roles. And I thought that with Nadia Krasteva, wow, what a voice she really had. She was phenomenal in this role. She has a very smoky timbre. She has a voice which is flexible and agile and really has that full body that is so ideal for roles like Carmen, Dalila, and a lot of these roles that are basically young men. She really won me over in this role, and she sang with such firm and focused tones that every moment she opened her mouth, it just felt like paradise. So there is no doubt that all of these wonderful ladies, Elena Mosuc, Ruxandra Donose, and Nadia Krasteva, did fabulously in their respective roles. Now, what about the men? Ah, yes, they did fabulously as well. Starting off with Kwangchul Youn as Enrico VIII. Enrico is just as coveted for any basso cantante as Filippo from Don Carlo, Procida from I Vespri Siciliani, Silva from Hernani, Raimondo from Lucia della Marmur, Orveso from Norma, Giorgio Valton from I Puritani, Conte Rodolfo from La Sonambula, Hans Sachs from Die Meistersinger von Nürnberg, the Dutchman from Der Fliegende Holländer, Fasolt from Das Rheingold, Gurnemans from Parsifal, Don Giovanni from Don Giovanni, Sarastro from Die Zauberflöte, Massimiliano from I Masnadieri, Timur from Turandot, Colline from La Bohème, Boris Godunov, Ivan Kovansky from Kovanchina, and of course Gremin from Eugene Onegin. There has been no shortage of bassos who have specialized in this role, including Nicola Rossi Lemeni, Plinio Clavassi, Cesare Siepi, Giorgio Tozzi, James Morris, Samuel Ramey, Clifford Grant, Paul Pliszka, Andrea Papi, Giacomo Prestia, Riccardo Zanellato, Ildar Abdrazakov, Marco Vinco, and Ildebrando D'Arcangelo. And I thought that with Kwangchul Youn as Enrico, what a voice he continues to have. He has his signature plush basso cantante voice, which he uses very well, which is no surprise as he's always been in demand for roles like Sarastro, Il Commendatore, Fasolt, König Heinrich der Vogler, Landgraf Hermann, King Mark, Gurnemans, and a lot of these wonderful basso cantante / basso profondo roles, which really needs a secure basso who can be able to sing all of these low notes. And he did very fabulously, really making Enrico a very firm and very strong figure, and an impassioned figure, which he was able to do very well with a voice like his. And he was able to have a lot of really wonderful and awesome moments. And among the men, I really felt that he was the absolute star, really giving off such wonderful vocals to this character. And he just has a very superb voice. Then we go to Riccardo Persi, sung by Roberto Sacca. Riccardo Persi is quite a sing for loads and loads of lyric tenors, as he needs to have loads of high notes and a good amount of agility to really add to this character. There has been no shortage of tenors who have sung this really wonderful bel canto role. Tenors who have specialized in roles like Arnold from Guillaume Tell, Edgardo from Lucia di Lammermoor, Arrigo from I Vespri Siciliani, Alfredo from La Traviata, Carlo from I Masnadieri, Cavaradossi from Tosca, Ruggero from La Rondine, Leucippus from Daphne, Belmonte from Die Entführung aus dem Serail, Tito from La Clemenza di Tito, Idomeneo from Idomeneo, and loads of other roles designed for a full lyric tenor with excellent high notes. We've had tenors like Gianni Raimondi, John Alexander, Stuart Burroughs, Fernando Portari, Francesco Melli, Shalva Muccheria, Jerry Hadley, and loads of other tenors who have specialized in the bel canto roles or even in the Mozart roles who have flocked to sing Persi. And I thought that with Roberto Sacca, he was an absolutely solid voice, really paying close attention to all the high notes and really having such a fine voice, which can be able to sing so lyrically yet so dramatically at the same time. There is one caveat, however, to his overall performance, and I'm sort of missing those really extra high notes which I usually expect from any singer singing Persi. I would have loved to hear him sing a high D after singing Nel veder la tua costanza, and even sing a high D together with Elena Mosuc's Anna Bolena after Giudici ad Anna, or even sing the high C with her. I would have loved to hear a gentleman like Roberto Sacca really do these awesome things. But despite that one caveat, I still have to give him loads of credit for really giving off such a dashing and heroic portrayal of this fine bel canto tenor role. And we go to the small role of Rochefort, sung by Ain Anger, who has a very fine, plush, and wonderful voice, which is no surprise, as I've heard him sing Gremin from Eugene Onegin, and of course, Brogny from La Juive. I don't know if he himself has sung Enrico yet, but from what I can tell, the role of Rochefort is basically the roles in which a lot of future Enricos sing. Some of the young singers would even automatically jump to Enrico, but some of the aspiring Enricos would end up singing Rochefort. At times, we also would have some lyric-based baritones who also had their fame as this very thankless part. And with Ain Anger as Rochefort, he did very fabulously, giving off such a wonderful plush voice. Then we go to Robert Wörle as Sir Hervé, who has a very fine character tenor voice and is a voice that is so capable of even singing lyrically. So overall, the singing found in this very opera was absolutely freaking phenomenal. Hell, the entire cast are very much standouts on their own. Oh my word, everyone was a freaking standout. From Elena Mosuc as Anna Bolena, to Ruxandra Donose as Giovanna Seymour, to Nadia Krasteva as Smeton, to Kwangchul Youn as Enrico, to Roberto Sacca as Riccardo Persi, despite some reservations, to Ain Anger as Rochefort, to Robert Wörle as Hervé. everyone did phenomenally. The same thing I can say about the conducting done by Bertrand Dubuisy, which is so rapid fire and so full of blood and guts, I practically got myself immersed into the opera. And special kudos also has to go to Heinz Verlesch for leading such a wonderful chorus, like the chorus members of the Wiener Singakademie, in such an impassioned way. So overall, the overall performances done by the singers, the orchestra and chorus was absolutely of the highest order. If you haven't listened to this very audio transmission yet, then it's right down here on the description box below. So you have absolutely no excuse not to listen as something as cool and something as awesome as this. I highly recommend you listen to this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime offer. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my review of Massenet's Werther, live from the Royal Opera House, starring Vittorio Grigolo and Joyce Di Donato. So until then, good night everybody, and take care.